Welcome to Project One. Building a strong community takes each one of us, and Project One is the place to start. 1 hour, one person, one life changed. On today's show, we'll feature an organization that is changing lives and transforming our community. So get ready to be inspired. Here's the host of Project One, Jan Johnson.
Hi, this is Jan, and welcome back to Project One. We're so glad that you took the time to join us today as we bring to you another amazing organization that we are featuring on Project One on a weekly basis. And just to remind you what Project One is about, it is where we connect you, our listening audience, with amazing organizations like the one we have in studio today, and so you can make a difference in the life. Project One is one person, 1 hour, one life changed. And again, with the partnership of San Antonio Christian Leadership Forum, as well as Documation, our sponsors, we're so thrilled to bring to you today Upbring Foster in Texas. And I'm thrilled to have in studio Lindsay Stockton, the Regional Director, Taka Tanner, Green Bay Packers fan, I have to throw that in. She is the Area Director, and then Kim Villarreal, who is the Regional Intake Specialist. Thank you, ladies, for coming and just kind of sitting down and having a cup of coffee with me and talking about foster care in San Antonio. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So talk to me a little bit about the history of Upbring. When did it start? And give us a little bit of history about who you are in San Antonio.
Okay. Well, we started about a little over 136 years ago as Lutheran Social Services.
Okay.
And so that we're a nonprofit organization. We are the largest children's service provider in Texas. So our programs include foster care, adoption, residential treatment centers, supervised independent living, educational services, disaster relief, and other community services.
I did not know that all that was under just the umbrella of Upbring. So talk to us about how, and maybe Taka, you can talk about this as being the area director. Talk about how you have people locally here in the San Antonio area involved with Upbring.
Well, here at the San Antonio office, we try to make sure that we reach out to the community in various ways in order to get people interested in foster care and just increase the knowledge base. So we have a lot of events that we attend here in San Antonio. At CPS, there are a lot of events we attend. We reach out to churches.
Child Protective Services.
Yes, Child Protective Services. Yes, we reach out to various churches and provide speaking events so people can so we can inform people of Upbring and what services we offer. Mm-hmm. We also have orientation classes that we have at our facility for anyone that's interested in becoming a foster parent. They can call in, and we have orientation twice a month where we sit down with prospective foster parents and give them the background of our program and what they can expect if they make the decision to be a foster parent.
Now, I read something that was sent to me. It said in 2016, our 14 FIT, which Foster in Texas, offices across the state connected nearly 2,000 children with loving foster families, and that you're always looking for families willing and able to care for children of all ages, ethnicities, and needs. So how do you find out about the children? Let's start with the first and the priority need, and then I want to find out how you get, so if you don't mind talking about that, but let's find out how people get involved with the children.
Absolutely. And so all of our children that we serve, they come into care typically as a result of a traumatic experience. And so they usually are removed by the department, by CPS, Child Protective Services, and then we contract with the state, and we collaborate with them and support their mission in trying to find these homes. And so when the children are removed from their biological families, they are then placed in one of our foster homes that we have trained, we recruit, and we work with.
And we need to talk about that a little bit further, and I want to hear more about how people can get involved. So Kimberly, maybe you can talk to us about that at a later date. But so when you get a child, what is the ultimate goal with the child when you have them in foster care?
Well, the ultimate goal by the department is going to be reunification. So they always strive for returning that child back to their biological family after they have received the services and support that they need to be successful.
Lindsay, how long have you been involved with this?
In social services, it's going on 15 years.
And what brought you to Upbring?
You know, it's weird that you asked that, because I had originally started in foster care and then decided to take a break because it can be a little stressful at times, and took a break to work on my private practice and met with Upbring, met with my supervisor. And after visiting with her and hearing the passion and her dedication to this field, she's been in this field for 13 years with Upbring, it really motivated me to come back into the system in that sense and work with these kiddos and these families in a different capacity. And so being able to be a regional director with Upbring, I have the ability to impact system changes.
Yes.
And that's really my driving motivation.
And region covers what area?
So there's 3 regions in our state, and my region covers Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and Tyler.
Oh my gosh, that's a big section.
It is.
And it's kind of cattywampus when
Kinda
the way
spread
that
out.
you think about it. Wow. So what makes Upbring, and if you want to talk about this, what makes Upbring so different to other foster organizations?
Well, I can speak for Upbring. We pride ourselves on being that support to our foster parents. No matter what time or day they need us, we want to make sure that we're available. We definitely, as Lindsay was saying, try to be innovative in the foster care system and reaching out to our foster parents, asking them things that they may want to see as far as trainings. We have a lot of our trainings that are webinars because we know everyone is busy, with life, with
Right,
work.
right.
So a lot of our trainings we offer webinar services for, so that can cut down on driving to the office for in-person trainings and things like that. And we also provide other services for our foster parents as far as respite services. So
Really?
yes, ma'am, we do. We provide respite services because let's face it, as parents, we all need that moment to ourselves. We all need that self-care
Can
moment.
I get an amen? Oh my
So
word.
when I get a call from a foster parent and they're telling me, Taka, I just can't, I need a break right now. I'm like, okay, let's make this happen. What do we need to do? Like, let's get the ball rolling so we
Because
can
that's
take
not
care of our foster
something
parents.
you really think about. You think
No.
about organizations that do fostering, but once they get the child placed in that foster home, you don't really hear what happens next. But I'm sure many of the families either have current children or maybe they're older and they're empty nesters and want to help. I'm sure they need to break.
Yes, ma'am. Like we all do. We all need that break. If you've ever babysat or a parent of any sort, you need that break. And we also offer a clothing allowance to our foster parents to
Really?
assist. We just try to assist them in whatever way that we can.
Not for themselves, but for the kids.
Not for them. No. Maybe in the future. Lindsay can work on that.
Yeah, there you go, Lindsay.
maybe in the future, but we want to make sure the biggest thing for us is support. We just want to make sure that we are support to the children in our foster homes and also the foster parents, because we need them, and without them we couldn't do our job. So that is our biggest driving force. It's just making sure that we're there to provide a support for them and our children.
One of the things that I'll let our listening audience know is that I was visiting with these ladies before we came onto the show and kind of asked them the same question, and it was amazing to see the smile that came on both Taka and Lindsay's face when I said, so how long have you been in the program? Both started out in the foster care program, removed, doing something different, but how that just called you back. And then here's Kimberly, who's relatively new to the foster program. What is a draw for you, Kimberly, to be a part of Upbring?
As soon as I walked in the door and met the ladies and did my interview, I just fell in love with them and what the whole program stands for. I've been in the financial industry for 16 years and just felt the Lord calling me to do something where I was making the difference in somebody's life, and in my own small way, to be a part of this great company. I'm just happy to be here.
What's interesting for me is, and I wish we could do, and maybe this is something that we do, Shemaya, in the future, is we can do Facebook Live on all of these events, because I'd love for our listening audience to be able to see the passion and the excitement and just the pure joy that you guys have in your eyes when you talk about working for this organization that is making a difference in the lives of so many kids. Let me ask you real quickly, what are the ages of children that you work with?
For our foster care program, we work with children that are 0 to 17. And then we also, or 0 to 18, I apologize. And then we also have our Be Real program, which is our supervised independent living, which is part of that transitional living program, which I'm incredibly passionate about, because it helps those kids who are in transition, instead of falling through the cracks, they're able to continue and get support until the age of 23.
Okay, well, I want to discuss that a little bit more when we come back. We're getting ready to go to break here, but transitional, that's not really something that you often think about. When you think about the transition out of foster care, when they become 18, they become adults.
That's correct.
And they're out of the system, then what happens? A lot of times they're not mature enough or are not prepared to be out on and in the world themselves. So I definitely want to talk about that a little bit more.
And I heard something in one of my trainings, and it really stuck with me, and it was basically, at what age do you stop needing your family? And that answer to that is never.
Wow, never. Well, again, I am talking with Lindsay Stockton, who's the regional director, and Taka Tanner, who is the area director, and Kimberly Villarreal, who is the regional intake specialist for Upbring. And one of the things that I want to make sure that our listeners understand is that this is a passionate organization that is passionate about helping those in our San Antonio and regionally in getting connected with all of the services that they provide. So to get more information about Upbring, you can go to our station's website and click on the tab Project One, and you can find all of the information about who they are, their contact, their website, and we'll have some more information of how you can get connected. And again, coming up on July the 25th from 4 to 6 p.m., we're going to be having our mixer out at the headquarters of Documation, who is our sponsor for Project One. And we would love for you to come out, meet with these ladies, find out how you as well can get connected with Upbring, who is such an amazing organization that is making a difference in the lives of so many. And they are making a difference in one person, 1 hour, one life changed. So we are going to talk a little bit more about how you can get involved right after the break. We'll be right back.
Kids in trouble by third grade, marked for long-term problems. Adults who can't read. Young women alone and pregnant. Workplaces and careers that don't support faith. New Christians struggling to establish their faith. The need is everywhere. Introducing Project One, the mentoring initiative. One person, 1 hour, one life changed. Project One is a call for mentoring in San Antonio. One city, one people, one society, one future for our children. Project One person can make a difference. Just 1 hour per week will help mentor those who need it. That one person is you.
Learn more by clicking on the Project One tab on this station's website.
Well, we want to welcome you back to Project One, where we are connecting you with organizations in the San Antonio area where you can make a difference with one person, 1 hour, one life changed. And that is the whole basis around Project One. And I'm in studio today with an incredible group of ladies who are very passionate about foster care and also transitional care and respite care, as you had mentioned, but the primary need is foster care in San Antonio with an organization called Upbring. And right before we went to the break, we were talking about the ages of children that you take care of. What are some of the needs that the kids show up with? Because you just don't get the call and then all of a sudden show up at a front doorstep of somebody's home and goes, here's little Johnny. What are you finding that they're needing?
Well, that's a really big question, and so it could be anything from clothes, or it could be diapers if they accept a young child, or toddler beds. I mean, a lot of these kiddos, when they first come into care, they have nothing when they enter into our foster homes.
Because often they're just taken quickly out of their homes without
Correct.
anything.
Baby beds, things like that.
Things like that. And one conversation we do like to have with a lot of our even current families is expanding their preference on what they will take. And so some our families are amazing, and they will consider taking children that they weren't originally planning to meet the need.
So do the
placement need out there.
families have a criteria of what they say that they, want a child from ages 5 to 10 or?
Absolutely.
Yes, they do. Whenever we have families who are interested in foster care, we will ask that question, what is your preference? Because some people only want babies, and they may feel like that's their strong point, that's their niche. And some people want, the 9-10-year-olds. So with Upbring, we will never turn anyone away, but we also see the need for sibling groups. We have a lot of referrals for siblings of 3, 4, and 5, and we don't want to split them up. Just imagine being removed from your home and you have no one as far as your parents anymore, or anyone from your biological family, and then we split you from your siblings. So we have a huge need for families that would open their heart and their homes for sibling groups, because we don't want to split these babies up if we possibly can.
Right.
And teenagers. We have a huge need for teenagers. A lot of our families, or a lot of families in general, once you're done with babies and the 9 and 10-year-olds, is our teenage population that's sometimes forgotten. And we need to remind people that we have our teenagers out here who just want to be shown a way. They just need that loving family there to invest the time in them.
Right.
Because a lot of our teenagers are very, very, good kids, positive, and they want to be successful human beings. So we need to show them that, hey, we care as well. So we foster, as Lindsay was saying before, from 0 to 18, but we really try to focus on sibling groups in teenagers, because that's the biggest need right now.
And often, I'm sure you have found this, but often when there is a child that is removed, and say it is a young teenager or maybe in preteens, they're being removed because it is a very difficult situation. When you're removing a baby, they don't really understand a lot of what's going on. But when you get older, there's a lot of emotional issues that go along with that. So families that will walk alongside them during this process, what other services do you provide for the families to help them walk with this age group of kids?
We tried, outside of just being the support that I spoke about earlier, we do provide our foster parents with various trainings to help them understand how to parent a teenager. Because like you said before, if you have empty nest and you haven't had a child in your home for maybe 5 years, 10 years, we forget sometimes the new culture that's out there with teenagers, and things are different than how we grew up. So, right.
Exactly.
We have Snapchat, we have Instagram, we have all of that now. So we do provide our foster parents with various trainings to help them deal with teenagers and the traumatic events that they possibly faced before being removed from their home. Because even though they're 16 or 17 or 15, they're still afraid, just like a 9-year-old or 8-year-old would be. So we have to provide them with the necessary tools and resources as well, so they can actually be functioning members of society.
So you get a teenager or a young adult that comes into the foster care program, and that you had mentioned earlier, Lindsay, about the transition. Talk a little bit about that, the transition out of the foster care program, and what you guys do through Upbring for that.
Absolutely. And so a child typically they'll age out at 18 years old. They can agree to stay in the foster care system voluntarily until 23, but a lot of times
I was not
they're
aware
not.
of that.
A lot of times they
Really?
don't really want to. They would rather move into a transitional living setting. And so what we have done with Be Real, it's our supervised independent living program. We have these programs in Austin, San Antonio, and actually in New Orleans is where our other location is. And we work with their permanency plan goals. So for instance, if the department identifies their permanency permanent C plan goals is independent living.
Now, what's a C plan goal?
A PPG, permanency plan goal.
Okay.
So every time a child enters into care, they're assigned whether they're going to be, it's reunification, it's independent living. And so most of our teenagers are going to be independent living because they're going to be close to that point. And so what they can do is they can actually go into our Be Real program, and what that does is we provide benefits are like affordable housing, we provide assistance with food, clothing, other essentials that they otherwise may not get.
Right.
And so they also in that program, in our Be Real program, which I like, is we're also teaching them life skills. We're teaching them about budgeting, leveraging community resources, where to find what they need, teaching them how to build permanent relationships with adults, appropriate adults.
Right.
And achieving
that's the key.
That's the key.
Because you don't want them to walk back into what they were
Right.
transitioned out of.
Absolutely. And then, of course, reaching whatever their educational or employment goals are. One young man, he wants to be a basketball, an NBA coach. And so
Wow.
we're working with him to try to get some things in line where he can go to school, get his degree. He's coaching, not Little League, but it's for basketball. He's coaching the junior teams to try to get
wow.
ready for that.
Yeah.
And we're trying to give him all the support from our end that we can to help him reach that, to be an NBA coach.
So if we've got people that are listening out there and they have basketball connections, you need to reach out to Lindsay through Upbring, and you can get all of the information by going to the station's website and click on the tab Project One. And I think that's an important thing as we transition over to how you can get involved, is to understand that you may not want to take a child in your home, but you might have the resources or the supplies, or even, like, I'm sure when you get children that are dropped off to you, you need supplies of clothing or diapers or formula, whatever it is. Plus, funds are always very important to come in because you are a nonprofit organization. But there are resources and there are people who have skills that can come in there and help with the kids that are in the Be Real program. But if your heartstrings are being pulled, Kimberly, how would a family get involved, and how should we spread the word that this type of care, especially from anywhere from birth, but also for siblings and teenagers, how do they get involved?
So either through the website, like you mentioned before, any website inquiries will get filtered depending on where they live. Will get filtered to myself. Same with the calls, depending on where they live, will come to me, and I would be their initial point of contact while they're going through the licensing process. So I'll help them get all their paperwork in and all their trainings done, before they get licensed. And
So how long is that process to get licensed to become a foster family?
typically it's 90 days. That's our
Okay.
timeline.
And then certifications and paperwork, what kind of things would they need to be prepared to bring to the table to do that?
Well, there's, of course, documentation that's coming from us. We do parenting data sheets. We just kind of want to know their parenting style. Marriage data sheets. We want to see, how their marriage relationship
Sure,
is.
sure.
We have an autobiography that they fill out.
So you just don't get a piece of paper where it's a name and an address and a phone number and,
No.
hey, I'd love to be a family. I'm sure you do background checks as well.
Oh, yes, extensive background checks. I mean, we are placing a life of a child, with a family, so we have to make sure that we abide by the minimum standards, from Department of Family and Protective Services, and then we also have our own standards on top of that.
Mm-hmm. When I was preparing for this show and knowing that you guys were coming in, I had read something that I thought was so appropriate. It said the smallest act of kindness is worth more than the grandest intention. And I think if someone is going to be a foster parent in the system, they have to be kind people and want to open up their homes and their lives. How do you reach those kind of people, Kimberly? How can you, besides doing what you're doing here, having this radio program and also having it available on podcast, but how do you get the word out? How can our listeners spread the word that, hey, you need to contact Upbring?
It's definitely through social media, through radio, eventually, hopefully, television. I'd like to reach out to local churches. I mean, if we're supposed to be the hands and feet of Jesus, what better way than to actually jump in and help out? I do different recruiting events each month.
And so is the recruiting events listed on your website? And information about that, of how they can, or how would they get in touch with you? Would it just be contacting you directly?
Contacting me directly.
Okay, and we'll have all the information to get in touch with Kimberly on our website by going to our station's website and clicking on the tab Project One. And again, talking with these amazing ladies that are with Upbring, Lindsay Stockton, the regional director, Taka Tanner, go Green Bay. I had to say that one more time. She's a Green Bay Packers fan, so if anybody wants to clear out their garage and bring stuff, I'm sure she would love it. The area director, and then Kimberly Verlurial, who's the regional intake specialist. And you can meet them at our mixer that is coming up on July the 25th from 4 to 6 out at the Documentation headquarters, and find out how you can get involved. But more importantly, if you're in a church group and want to get people involved with making the difference, one person, 1 hour, one life changed, then talk it up in your church. Let your pastors know, get the word out, and invite them to come in and talk with you. And again, this is Project One, and thanks for joining us today.